OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, it's Courtney here from the Outcasted OC podcast, and welcome back to the legendary, the well-documented, the highly revered Monday Night Raw review. I promise you, it's not actually that. It's not like an Academy Award winner or an Emmy winner. It's just me talking about wrestling. So if you want to stick around and listen to what happened on Monday Night Raw this week, keep on watching. Before I start, a couple of things to clear up. Yes, I am back in the bedroom. I don't know why. I just change filming locations whenever I feel like it. Just change of scenery. Secondly, yes, my microphone is balanced on a pen, and that is because I don't really want to hold the microphone. I want to be able to talk with my hands, and I feel like that's totally fine. And also, one last thing I want to say before we get into it. Thank you very much for all the love and support we have been seeing on the channel as of late. We do see these things, and we are so incredibly grateful that you guys are joining the channel, sticking around, commenting on the videos. It genuinely means the world to us. So Monday Night Raw this week kicked off with us seeing Cody Rhodes and Pharaoh both getting out of Cody's bus, obviously backstage. It's a big deal that they are both here tonight. Then we actually start off with Jey Uso making his way out to the ring to cut a promo. Now on commentary, we're obviously talking about how it's going to be Jimmy versus Jey, and it is the third time in WrestleMania history that we are getting a brother versus brother match. So if I am not mistaken, it goes as follows. We have Bret Hart and Owen Hart from WrestleMania 10. 15 years later, we have Matt and Jeff Hardy at WrestleMania 25. And now at WrestleMania 40, we are getting Jimmy versus Jey Uso. Not gonna lie to you, I'm really vibing with the brother versus brother match, especially in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Just makes a lot of sense to me. So Jey Uso comes out to the ring, grabs the microphone, and welcomes everybody to Monday Night Raw. And he says, look, I know fully well the bloodline is in the building, so he just calls out Jimmy to come out and talk with him. Jimmy comes out, Solo comes down with him too, and there are huge Uso chants coming from the crowd. I'm loving it. I'm loving the vibe. I'm feeling like it's so incredibly great. Jay's like, look, we've had our issues in the past before, but this time feels different. You know, it doesn't matter if there is bad blood between me and you. I miss you, and I just want you to come back to me. And Jimmy looks at him and he's like, I never left. He said, if anything, I've just been trying to protect you this entire time. And it was your idea to leave the bloodline. It was your idea to go off and become a big star and become a tag team champion with someone who's not me. And to go ahead and be one of the biggest merch sellers. And if anything, for your success, all you're doing is thanking Cody Rhodes for it. He said, your biggest moment in your entire career, this one-on-one singles match that you are getting with me at WrestleMania, that is all because of me. It is not because of anybody else. Jey Uso responds to Jimmy by saying, no, this moment is my dream match and I'm going to knock the yeet out of your ass. He goes for Solo and he goes for Jimmy. Jimmy ends up kicking Jey with a super kick, and then we end up seeing Jimmy and Solo both going after Jey Uso when Cody Rhodes comes out to make the save. He takes out Solo with a Cody cutter, and that is how that segment finishes. I will say, I did see someone holding a sign that said like call Rikishi or something like that. I wouldn't mind if Rikishi got involved in this feud. I feel like that could really add some layers to it, especially with Solo being there too. We cut backstage to a couple of video recaps and backstage segments, so let's quickly get through those before we get into the first match of the night. Nia Jax and Becky Lynch will be main eventing on Monday Night Raw this week as their last woman standing match is fast approaching. We have a promo package obviously recovering and obviously talking about a lot of the beef between the two of them that has led them to this point of having a last woman standing match. We see Becky Lynch is backstage making her way into the arena. We see Adam Pearce is on the phone and he is visibly upset to who I'm assuming is Nick Aldis. He's calling them about keeping his superstars in check. Then we see Paul Heyman come in and he goes, look, I didn't know that Jimmy and Solo were already here. I want to apologize because they shouldn't have been here. Flights were delayed. Obviously, I got in a little bit later than they did. They're gone now, and you have my word from Roman Reigns that they have left, and I will be handling official business tonight. We get into our first match of the night, which is one of the WrestleMania tag team qualifying matches. So there are 3 of them on Monday Night Raw this week. The first one is DIY taking on the Creed brothers, and I will tell you, hand on heart, confidence-wise, this was the best tag team match that I have seen in a very long time. This was the best tag team match that I have seen come out of the qualifying matches so far. Fantastic showing. So this match starts incredibly hot. Tommaso Ciampa and Julius Creed are just wrestling each other on the mat, very amateur wrestling style. Then we see Julius pick up Tommaso's leg and he's trying to get him in like an ankle lock. Then we see Julius hit a really nice fireman's carry takedown onto Tommaso. DIY end up doing double teaming moves, and they both end up flying over the ring ropes and doing that spot where they clap for each other on the ring apron. Brutus ends up throwing DIY around, and he hits a really nice double team move as well too onto DIY. Julius lifts Tommaso Ciampa from the ground into a vertical suplex, which was really impressive to see. That must be incredibly difficult to do. Tommaso hits a really nice reverse DDT. Johnny Gargano comes in, hits a really nice slingshot spear. Tommaso hits white noise. The Creeds both end up double ankle locking DIY. DIY hit the crossface. Creeds end up throwing DIY into each other. Creeds hit really nice moonsaults as well too. There's an insane sequence at the end that really finishes this match off super quickly. And DIY are the first team to be entered into the 6-man tag team ladder match at WrestleMania. I'm so excited. I cried because I love Tommaso Ciampa and I love Johnny Gargano, and just the fact that this is both of their first times at WrestleMania, considering how long they've been in WWE for, is just mind-blowing to me. I'm so happy for them to get this moment. They honestly deserve it so much. They are one of the best tag teams in WWE history, in my opinion, and I feel as though Tommaso really deserves this moment. I'm so happy for him. We cut backstage to the Judgment Day and Andrade. They are all in the Judgment Day clubhouse, and if anything, they are just chilling, having a great time. Rhea's repping a really nice Dominic Mysterio shirt, which I'm surprised is not on the WWE shop right now, but hey, hopefully it will make its way there at some point. Dom says to Andrade that Judgment Day run Monday Night Raw, and Rhea says it's an exclusive club, and if you keep proving yourself to us, we can make things happen. Finn Balor says it's really cool that you've got your match next week. Then we see Damian Priest come in, and he just stares at Andrade. He doesn't look very happy that he's there. They have a moment, and then Andrade leaves. Damien starts talking to JD McDonough about how he did not win the opportunity in the gauntlet match last week, and we find out that Dominic Mysterio will be taking on Ricochet to right the wrongs of JD from last week. There was a lot of online issue when it came to the segment that went down between Candice LeRae and Maxine Dupree backstage last week, obviously from what had happened in the ring with that promo in the middle of the match. So they recap it, and then we end up having a tag team match with Candy and Andis, nice. Candice and Indy taking on Kayden and Katana. Now, this was a really quick match. It was very much storyline focused, if anything. So, Kayden Carter's in control in the match. We end up seeing Indy come in and she hits a really nice big boot. But when Candice comes into the match, she is just going full-blown aggressive. She just comes in 100 miles an hour. Indy's looking really concerned and really confused as to where all of this has come from. Katana ends up coming in and she is just hitting absolutely super speed on everybody. She's just going into sicko mode, going crazy. She ends up landing funny in this match, and there's a moment where she goes into the corner of the ring to kind of try and figure out what's going on, and the ref goes over to her, and then we end up seeing Candice just go absolutely insane. She goes after both Kayden and Katana, and she attacks Katana's leg, and Indy's just like, what the hell is going on? She's just absolutely befuddled with what is going on. Candice and Indy end up getting the win on this. Obviously, this is to further Candice's heel turn, if you want to call that what it is. Obviously, character change, but Indy's obviously not very much behind it. More backstage moments and recaps from episodes past. So we got to see the recap of the Rock concert from SmackDown. If I'm being honest, I skipped through that when I first saw it. I was like, I'm not listening to this man sing. Why would I waste my time? Then we got to see Cody Rhodes was making his way out to the ring. So Cody Rhodes comes out and he cuts probably the best promo that I have heard him cut in a very, very, very long time. First of all, he didn't start this promo with, so what do you guys want to talk about? Which I knew straight away. This man means business if he doesn't include, so what do you want to talk about at the beginning of his promo? He starts off by saying, in 3 weeks' time, this will be the second year in a row that I will be main eventing WrestleMania against one of the best champions in history, Roman Reigns. He goes, on Friday, Roman and I are going to be having a conversation. We're going to be having a face-off. We're going to be having a face-to-face. And he says there are many complications and many factors within this, and The Rock is one of them. He says, if anything, he goes on his Instagram and he sits in a concert and he wants to bash and berate me. Cool, but why can't he do that in person? And he said, our favorite heel, our bad guy. And he goes, The Rock is not a heel. He's just an asshole. And he said, don't get upset. He said, there's no crying in wrestling, but if anything, The Rock is just crying behind the scenes. He cries to the TKO board saying that he needs to be the one to save WrestleMania. And it looks like good PR for The Rock, right? But if anything, TKO are just yes people. And he goes, I'll tell you so many wonderful things that there are about The Rock. He's considered one of the most influential people of all time, one of the most popular Hollywood actors in all time, and you could put him on the Mount Rushmore. But he is a terrible salesman and a whiny bitch, and he says that we don't need you. And as soon as I heard Cody just absolutely stand on business and actually stand up for himself, I screamed. I was howling. I was like, you get him, Cody. I was like, this is absolutely hysterical. I was like, finally, this is what I needed to see from you. And he brings up The Rock's mum in the conversation and he goes, well, I'm going to show respect for her, unlike you have done with mine. And he goes, if anything, it's just a bit ridiculous that you are just bringing my mum into it when she's not scared of you, if anything. And he says, when April 7th comes around, it may not be fair. I may not get to finish my story. And, Dwayne, if anything, you are so sure of yourself. But when the WrestleMania match comes around, you're going to be in front of so many thousand people, and you won't be able to hide the fact that you have not been in the ring for a very long time, and you might not be able to keep up with us. And he said, he says, if anything, The Rock's got little dick syndrome. Like, can't even say it with a straight face. This is how I reacted when I heard it. I thought it was so funny. Anyway, The Rock refers to himself as the final boss, and Cody says at WrestleMania that you're not, and if anything, you are just Roman's side chick. And I was like, you get him, Cody. I was like, this is the spark, this is the fire that I've wanted to see from Cody for a long time, and I'm so happy that we got it. Paul Heyman comes out. And he offers up an apology for what happened a couple of weeks ago, and he said, if anything, for me being the wise man, that was a pretty stupid and dumb decision that I made. Cody's like, look, I don't really care for your apology. I know that you're going to ask, can I get into this ring? I'm going to say, be my guest, you Hall of Famer. Paul says, look, I've got a message from Roman Reigns, and, Roman Reigns keeps his word when it comes to this. He says, when it comes to the face-to-face this week, no one from the bloodline except me is going to be there, and you have Roman Reigns' word if you want to come to a deal on this. And he was like, deal. And Paul Heyman keeps talking, and Cody's like, look, if you don't just get on with it, I'm going to go all Homelander on you. And I was like, yes, you tell him. And he said, look, there's one crucial point that's missing. He said, if anything, if you want to agree to this deal, you have to show up alone too. And Cody's like, all right, cool, deal, whatever. Shakes his hand, gets up and walks away. Nia Jax is backstage and she is seen talking about Becky Lynch going into their last woman standing match. She says that Becky Lynch has never beaten her and she will never beat her. And she says she's going to take Becky Lynch's spot at WrestleMania and win that World Heavyweight Championship off of Rhea Ripley. After Cody's confrontation with Paul Heyman, we see him running backstage and he runs into Jey Uso. And he said, do you really want to go into this segment with Roman Reigns on Friday night by yourself? Because I know the bloodline is going to be there. And he said, I've got you if you need me. So it's good to see that Jey and Cody are on good terms with each other. Head back to the ring where we get the match between Ricochet and Dom Mysterio. This was a really good match. I really enjoyed it. Obviously helped storyline purposes and helped towards Ricochet's future pushes as well too. So they're exchanging blows from the very beginning. Ricochet hits a really nice springboard elbow onto Dom and then ends up following this up with a really nice corkscrew as well. JD causes a distraction and we end up seeing Dominic planting Ricochet face first into the ring. Ricochet ends up turning around a Three Amigos move that Dom is trying to do. He ends up reversing it. He hits a really nice kick and he does a 450 roll through and then Dom kicks him. We see a recoil by Ricochet and Ricochet comes away with the win. At the end of the match, JD is trying to ambush Ricochet but he manages to get away. We're seeing a lot of online stories and a lot of online upset come into storylines within WWE. There was a lot of upset last week on Sami Zayn being the one to win the gauntlet match for the Intercontinental Championship against Gunther at WrestleMania. So much so to the point where people were doing a We Want Chad Gable hashtag on X. I completely understand why. I think Chad Gable is incredibly underrated and I would have loved to see him win it. But anyway, they run into each other backstage and Sammy starts off by saying, it was a real honor last week to wrestle you, and obviously was trying to make sure Chad was okay. Chad was visibly off and he looks bummed out and Sammy's like, what's going on? Like, I've known you for a long time. Like, I can tell when something's bothering you. Can you please just talk to me? And Chad's like, look, if anything, that meant a lot to me, but WrestleMania meant more to me. And obviously he's pulling the whole, like, I wanted to do this for my family card, blah, blah, blah. And Sammy kind of is like, well, you're not the only person who this means a lot to. You're not the only person who has a child that cries when their father gets beaten. Like that kind of pushing the narrative that Chad Gable pushes. Sammy's like, you're not the only person that feels that way. Like, I know there's something else going on. You're not telling me. Can you please just tell me what's going on? And Chad Gable starts planting a seed of doubt into Sami Zayn's head, saying, you actually can't beat Gunther. Like, you can't do it. Talking about how great his reign is. He's like, you're not going to be the one to do it. So Sami is visibly concerned, visibly frustrated, visibly like, what the hell's going on? And he ends up having to have his contract signing with Gunther out in the ring. So he makes his way back out. And obviously Gunther comes out too. And he says, you know, this is the biggest, most important Intercontinental Championship match of all time. And you've got Sami Zayn dressed over there like a bum from the crowd. Sami's like, look, you're really starting to piss me off. You act like this is another day at the office and you want to just steamroll through this. You've beaten everybody and that you don't think that I can do it. He says, I'm going to go ahead and win the Intercontinental Championship off of you and end that Intercontinental Championship reign. Gunther's like, you need to start listening to Chad Gable because he doesn't think that you can beat me. They don't think that you can beat me. Heck, you don't even think it yourself either. You just got to keep dreaming at this point because you're not going to beat me. And he gets up and he starts to walk away and Sammy's like, look, why don't you come back here and look in my eyes again? These eyes are going to be the one that take you down. These ones are going to be the one that ruin your WrestleMania and take away your Intercontinental Championship match or take away, you know, the championship reign from you. He gets up and walks away. I really like what WWE did here after this segment. So normally the camera just cut out, but the camera guy kept following Sami Zayn through Gorilla all the way through to backstage, and then it transitioned into the next backstage segment, and it was just one rolling clip, and I was like, Kevin Dunn could never. Anyway, so he walks backstage, and he ends up walking through DIY and R-Truth and The Miz. They're obviously talking about the tag match, and then they end up running into Indus Sher, who Awesome Truth are going to be wrestling against. Then what they do with that same video clip, like the same camera shot, is The Miz and R-Truth start walking towards the cameraman and they make their way through Gorilla out into the ring. I like these different kind of camera angles. You can definitely tell that WWE is switching things up and I'm really enjoying seeing what we're seeing. So we go into this tag match. It's incredibly short. I'm not even going to lie to you. It was like 4 minutes. Indus Sher looked great for the short amount of time they got in the ring. Miz was obviously on fire and R-Truth comes in and he gets the hot tag and come away with the win. I think Truth was a little bit confused as to how he got the win, but R-Truth and The Miz are going into the ladder match. Now, that was the second of the qualifying matches for the evening. Drew McIntyre is seen backstage, and then we end up seeing Sami Zayn is walking backstage after his interaction with Gunther. He runs into Chad, and he's like, why do you feel like I can't beat him? Why did you go ahead and say everything that you just did? Why did you do all of that? Chad Gable cuts a really nice impassioned promo talking about the Intercontinental Championship and talking about how he doesn't think that Sami can beat Gunther. I kind of wish this was a triple threat, if I'm being honest, but I don't think it's going to be. But anyway, then we hear from CM Punk. It has been 7 weeks since his tricep surgery, and he says that I will be at WrestleMania in some capacity because you can't spell the first part of Philadelphia without Phil. It's very much giving me you can't spell WrestleMania without EST, i.e. what Bianca Belair does. I have a wild theory about what's going to happen with CM Punk at WrestleMania, so I plan on making a TikTok about it, but I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself because it's crazy what could happen there. Drew McIntyre starts making his way out to the ring. He's walking down the entrance ramp and then Seth Rollins' music hits. Drew's like, what is going on? It was very much like Roman Reigns walking down to the ring and LA Knight coming in for the interruption. I loved it. It was fantastic. So they're both in the ring. Seth is like, look, sorry, I didn't see you there. I'm just too busy trying to soak up the spotlight, which was also giving me, oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I was too busy blocking out the haters, which I do love me a man who knows a meme, and I feel like Seth Rollins knows his memes. Anyway, so Drew McIntyre says that, the spotlight is going to be mine after WrestleMania. And Seth is like, look, honestly, I'm just going to be honest with you here because if anything, you are so incredibly stupid and hypocritical. And look, I'm going to admit this to you. And he does the whole, admitting is the first chance to move forward kind of thing. And he says, look, my name is Seth freaking Rollins and I am a spotlight junkie. And I was like, oh, come on, Seth, get serious with us, please. Please, I'm begging you. Drew looks at him and goes, this is just all a joke to you at this point. You are literally just becoming a parody of yourself and you only care about what's going on with you. You only care about the spotlight, but I only care about this WrestleMania match. Seth's like, look, this isn't a joke to me. And it's the truth. This is 20 years worth of my life that I have spent doing this. And If anything, every single time I come out to the ring, I get the crowd pop and I get the crowd cheering and singing my song, and that is the spotlight that I crave. It is the spotlight that I want. It is the spotlight that I deserve. And this is what I get, and it gets better with time. He says, if anything, Drew, all you do is just have Twitter memes, but when it comes down to WrestleMania night 1, I'm going to go ahead and beat The Rock and Roman, and then on night 2, I'm going to go ahead and defend this World Heavyweight Championship. Drew McIntyre says, look, I'm supposed to be the savior of WrestleMania here. And he starts talking about the passion that he has and says, look, this has been 20 years for both of us. And you have taken this World Heavyweight Championship and you have made it the real workhorse title. And you've put so much hard work into this. And that should be the reason why you want the spotlight. He says, you have your priorities wrong. And I don't even know if you're going to make it to night 2 at this point. And he says, this is not the moment that I want or the moment that I need, but this is the moment that I've earned. He says, Drew, you want the spotlight just as bad as me. He said 4 years ago it wasn't good enough because you were in an empty warehouse and obviously no one was there to celebrate your moment. He said, but everything started to come back and the spotlight started to get brighter and brighter and brighter and everybody else could adapt to it but you. He said, you fumbled the bag. I go ahead and shine bright every single time I'm out here for the crowd. And he said, maybe you're just not as good as you think you are. And I was like, oh, crap. So Drew McIntyre just got roasted. I don't know. See, it's kind of not wrong though. Like, if anything, Drew McIntyre's been bitching about the whole entire thing for like the last 4 years, which is half the reason why he is what he is. I love Drew McIntyre. I love me some Seth Rollins. I'm loving the way this storyline is continuing. Becky Lynch cuts an impassioned promo backstage, obviously talking about how she's 3 weeks out till WrestleMania and people are questioning why she's risking everything. But she says risking things is all I know and I am going to be the last woman standing. We have the third WrestleMania tag team qualifying match. Now we have the Alpha Academy taking on New Day. Again, this match was very short. I'm actually a little upset by this match because I didn't really want the people that won it to win it, but anyway, I'll leave that till the end. Otis is in control, and then Tozawa comes in, he's on fire. He hits a really nice suicide dive as well. Otis hits the world's strongest slam. Tozawa hits a really nice crossbody. We see him also hit a really nice Hurricanrana as well. Follows this up with a really crisp senton, and then we see Kofi come in and hit a really nice DDT. Woods hits a really nice elbow off the top rope, and they come away with the win. So the New Day are going to WrestleMania again for the tag team titles. I won't say anything, but a little disappointed, but it's okay. It's okay, we can't always get what we want. It's totally fine. Becky Lynch is seen stretching and warming up backstage before her last woman standing match, which we are about to jump into. Liv Morgan comes in and Becky's like, do I have to look out for you too? And Liv's like, well, you should always be watching me anyway. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, cool. And then Liv's like, look, at the end of the day, I'm just going to leave Nia all to you tonight. She's all yours. I'm not going to get involved. So I was really hoping that Liv Morgan didn't get involved in this because I didn't think that's necessary. Cody is walking backstage with Pharaoh and he runs into Seth, and Seth Rollins asks him about Friday night and asks if you're sure about going into Friday Night SmackDown with Roman Reigns alone. Seth Rollins offers up his services, and as they walk away, Seth Rollins goes ahead and says, love the bandana, Pharaoh. Now it's Pharaoh's bandana, what he's wearing around his neck. It said like rock as a cat or something like that. It was quite funny actually. We have finally made it to the main event, the long-awaited last woman standing match between Nia Jax and Becky Lynch, and this was a 5-star classic for me. This was really good. Becky Lynch, who's considered the smaller person in this match, the underdog, she was using her quickness very quickly in this match straight away from the very beginning. She was just on fire. Then we see Nia end up slamming Becky Lynch outside of the ring, and she throws her into the barricade as well. Becky starts fighting back. Becky Lynch starts fighting back, and Nia ends up Samoan dropping her onto the chairs that are in the middle of the ring. Nia ends up using some kendo sticks as well. Becky Lynch hits a really nice running bulldog off the chairs onto Nia Jax as well too. Nia hits a leg drop on Becky, and then Becky just starts getting super fired up. Nia Jax takes advantage of the steps that are outside of the ring, and she uses them on Becky Lynch as well too. Becky uses the fire extinguisher, which, if you know, that obviously happened in the Extreme Rules match with her and Tiffany, one of the most iconic spots in that entire match, so I'm happy to see that came back. Nia hits a Samoan drop on Becky Lynch into the table and hits the Annihilator, and we see Becky Lynch reverse this into a manhandle slam off the table, and she ends up walking up the ladder and she leg drops Nia Jax off the ladder onto the commentary table. Comes away with the win. Nia Jax can't get up for that 10 count, and Becky Lynch is the last woman standing. I don't know why you would have had Becky Lynch lose this match, especially this close to WrestleMania, but anyway, I digress. Happy she won, happy my queen is on top. Rhea Ripley comes out at the very end of the match and they face off, so Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley are still happening at WrestleMania and they face off against each other to close the episode of Monday Night Raw. So that brings us to the end of Monday Night Raw for this week. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you go ahead and show some support to the channel by liking the video. Go ahead and comment something that you enjoyed about Monday Night Raw and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. Turn on the post notifications so you don't miss any of our Raw, SmackDown, NXT reviews as well as our podcasts, because we would hate for you to miss any of those videos. While you're there, go ahead and check out the description where you can find all of the links for where you can find Outcasted OC on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok, as well as our personal social medias, so you can keep up to date with what we're doing when we're not posting on here. You've got your regularly scheduled NXT review coming in from Reese tomorrow, and then obviously we have the podcast this week where we are doing Wrestling King of the Hill. It is one of Reese's ideas. I'm sure he will explain it to us closer to the time. And you've also got your SmackDown review coming in for this week. Again, I've enjoyed reviewing Monday Night Raw for you guys, as I always do. Bye guys!